To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, everyone has their correspondence. Any questions on that? Okay, comments from the assembly. Joan, did you want to just read down through the list maybe, or you just want to check them off if someone stands?
Sure. Dale Russell? Dale Russell?
Can we talk now? Yeah, I'm here as far as the Morgantown Airport development. I know it's in the preliminary stages, but I'd like to see it kept as an open space, let the township buy it, float a bond, leave it empty.
Thank you.
Van Host? Van Host, last name?
I thought that was just a sign of the last time.
Oh, Wayland Washington?
My name is Wayland. Thanks for having me. I live on Willow Road, and the water runoff from the current development that's over there by the airport runs behind my house underneath a 3-foot diameter pipe, and it exits behind my neighbor's garage. Back on June 3rd, I wasn't sure where to submit a video. It's about a 4-second long video, it's really short. But it's just showing the water levels on June 3rd of this year coming out of that pipe, that drainage pipe. I was curious, was there any engineering work done, civil engineering work done to see whether or not the drainage from, all those houses I assume would come, either through the same area or, through the same pipe?
Do you want them to submit the video to Joan with details so you can check into what he's talking about?
An address.
Can you submit the video to the township, to Joan's email with the address?
Yep.
And an explanation so they can check into it?
Okay, yeah. So my question was, has there been any civil engineering work done to, any preliminary work for that at all?
No, it's not even zoned for this type of development, there's one.
I know they were asking for zoning changes, and that's why I assumed that they probably would have at least done that so far, but, okay. Well, thank you.
Thanks.
That's which library?
Is it okay for now, or is it?
She's on the agenda.
If I'm already on the agenda, then I just thought it was just a sign.
Joan Gurley?
Brimley. Or Township, I'm just here to observe.
Angie and Lisa Robinson? Mitchell, last name Mitchell?
Yes. Yeah, I'd like to comment about the stormwater runoff that comes down toward the Morgantown Community Church. The entire drainage of the Twin Valley High School property and other properties there, partly to the west, drains down to that point. And in a heavy rainstorm, it's been known to have 6 inches of water going across Route 23. So my interest in regarding the proposed zoning change is that there be adequate engineering so that there would be zero increased volume come off that development, should it unfortunately be approved.
Thank you.
Virginia Rieger?
Yes, thanks. I'm here tonight for the Morgantown Airport. I've been a resident with my husband Glenn for 22 years. It's a beloved area. The airport houses Black Diamond Soaring, and it's an opportunity for people to actually be in a glider 4,000 feet up. That, plus our airport, is a joy that every time you look up in the sky, you see something marvelous, human accomplishment. Please don't allow the change for housing. We have a gem right here in Morgantown, and I'd like you to understand that my position is fully, I want Morgantown to flourish, but not with a sacrifice like that. Thank you.
Okay, Patty Braun.
It's Bran. I didn't have anything listed to speak about, but these two people here, I absolutely agree with. The airport, and Rita Del Curcio called me today and wanted me to let you know that she would like the airport property to stay as is as well.
Thank you.
Terry Robinson. Sir, what is your address?
I'm at the airport. I'm at,
Lieutenant, is that?
yes, I am. Last month I stood here and encouraged you to stop your approval of the 200+ housing proposal for the Morgantown Airport. I encourage you to take the IOP zoning guidelines and rewrite them to reflect your vision for the property before considering further proposals. I had just got done talking to 300 people. That's what motivated me to come here, because 95% of the people I talked to in the various locations here are opposed to the plan. Of course, I had just read the Berks County Planning Commission's proposal for this property, and in their second paragraph, it says, therefore, where the land is identified as an EDA, the proposed overlay district would be inconsistent with the state comprehensive plan. And then they go on to say that they don't encourage the development of that piece of property because it's on their 2030 update future land use as an IOP or commercial property. So these people have asked me to just come before you, and I'm going to submit close to 350 signatures to you that we got around the township from people that signed it without grudge. Believe me, it was with gusto. They are opposed to this development. And they're not opposed to growth, as they might be accused. They are not opposed to growth. But this single proposal will increase the population by nearly 20% in this township in one fell swoop. It's going to increase the traffic congestion. Of course, the developer's traffic consultant said that by reprogramming the traffic lights, that would eliminate the issue. We don't agree. They said the increase on the schools. I spoke with the teachers, I spoke with an administrator, and a bus drivers in the areas where I did, and all of them are appalled because the schools are full by their reckoning, and the only way to go there is to build. And building means raise school taxes. It indicates an insignificant revenue for the township. The developer said when asked by one of the supervisors here what to expect in tax income, and it was stated as less than $10,000 or $100,000 was the township's grab on that for services, police, and that. It's going to decrease the green space, what many people appreciate about Morgantown. And then it's going to be the loss of a historic airport. The petition was signed by greater than 90% of the people we approached. The percentage was higher with residents. We are hoping this petition will give you motivation to consider your stance on this proposal. We are asking you to reject the current housing proposal, rewrite the IOP zoning guidelines, which actually the Berks County Planning Commission gives you some guidelines on doing. If you refuse to rewrite the guidelines, then the next developer's proposal will keep you in crisis management versus leadership. So, we make the first motion to reject the zoning change on the Byler Morgantown Airport property, and as a result, rejecting the 200+ housing proposal. Do we hear a second motion? Thank you.
Lee Schaefer?
That's me. Yes, my name is Jenna Lee Schaefer, and my husband Doug and I, we have a hangar there at Morgantown. We have a small aircraft. It's a vintage aircraft that we fly, and we love the airport, obviously. I'm an air show performer, also a pilot, and I just really would hate to see the airport go. I really believe in grassroots aviation. I believe that we need to have our small airports in order to raise up another generation of pilots. If we get rid of all these little airports due to, housing or whatnot, then where are these young people gonna go to get taught aviation? Where are they gonna go? Where are they gonna seek that out? So I'm really standing up for the next generation. We love to take our grandchild flying. I would love to see him solo as part of my solo, and landing at Morgantown Airport as part of my solo. So I'm just saying, I vote to keep the airport going, and hope that you would take that into consideration.
Okay, is it McCoskey?
Patrick.
Settlers Trail?
Yes. Settlers Trail, I just want to confirm and agree with everything that's said about the airport. I'm a pilot myself. I have been there a number of times, and it is great green open space. I think in the US there's about 250 airports close annually, and there's about 5 to 10 open. So they're disappearing from our neighborhoods, and as Jana mentioned, aviation is disappearing from an available option for all of our people, including our people.
Thank you. Laura Villardo?
Yes, hello. I'm a resident in Highcroft Estates, which is adjacent to the airport. I actually came to comment on the skate park proposal. My son was the first to bring it here. But since we're also talking about the airport property, I think it's a great airport, and it would be lovely to keep and save. But the reality is the owner has the right to do with it what he wants with the property, and we have no say in what who he sells it to. It's his money. And there's no one yet who stepped forward to buy it and build another airport. And the only real option we have is to control what kind of development we would like to see in that space. We came very close to having a very large warehouse with semi-trucks going up and down 23 and side roads that we can't support. As a resident, I would like to see more houses in that development, in that space. I think that is the most benign positive growth opportunity for that property if it's going to be sold, and it's clear it's going to be sold, and you can't stop that. So all we can do is look at what makes the best sense for the township as to what we would like to see there. We can't say, oh, I'd like a grocery store. I'd love a grocery store, but there's nobody wanting to put a grocery store in. So we have to work with what we have. And as to the skate park, my boys are two of the ones that brought the proposal, and they're still very interested, and we have some other suggestions for that property as well. We can get to that point later. Thank you.
And lastly, Jean Brewer?
She's on that's the fireworks complaint.
Oh.
Yes, she is here.
Was she waiting for that? Okay.
Can I make a comment? Okay. I agree with Laura. We're basically not even at the point that the planning commission was going to review the text amendment, to even look at doing a zoning change, so we're not even there yet. And then from that point, the board will revise it, reject it, and then it goes to zoning for a zoning hearing. And we have 3 or 4 steps before we even have a project right now. That is like the last piece of property in the township that we could probably put housing on. I personally would not want a warehouse there. So, it's a catch-22. I mean, I understand that it's a beautiful airport, but the government does want to sell. I'd rather these have something that's going to help the community. I understand traffic, I agree. But, basically, we're going to end up having housing or a warehouse, one way or another. Unless somebody has tons of money for an airport, I really can't see it staying, even though it is beautiful. Thank you.
Yeah, I can interject with what to expect moving forward. I'm the township attorney. in case you didn't know, any landowner or any equitable owner can propose a change to the township zoning ordinance. That's what Berks Homes has done. Once that's done, there's a statute that governs how that proposal is debated. And so the next step is for the Township Planning Commission to consider the proposal. I expect that to be on the agenda next week, Tuesday, 7:30 here, where Berks Homes representatives should be here, and there'll be an in-depth discussion of the proposal. And then at some point in time, the Township Planning Commission will vote to make a recommendation to the Board of Supervisors. So the Board of Supervisors will not take action until they hear from the Township Planning Commission. And the Township Planning Commission has complete discretion on what kind of recommendation it wants to make, whether to reject the proposal, to accept the proposal, or to modify the proposal. So next week's meeting, unless there's a change of plans, my expectation would be that would be a meeting that the proposal's on the agenda, and you should expect to have some in-depth discussion at that time.
Are any of the supervisors here on that Township Planning Commission?
Yes, 2 of us are.
Anyone else? Okay.
Yeah, I would just like to say one thing. As far as this boogeyman they've been using since day one, a warehouse, that property is very valuable. That warehouse that they proposed a few years back, that didn't fit the zoning either. There was no chance of that going in there unless they fought us, and they declined to do so, okay? Currently, you can put a warehouse there, a small warehouse, to house your own goods. People only use those type of warehouses for like storage. When they can't store on site, they're not gonna spend millions of dollars for a piece of property just to store some goods. It's just not feasible for a warehouse as far as the investment to that property. But yes, other things can be built there. Unless somebody that wants to keep the airport comes up with the money and can buy the property and control what the property is used for, unfortunately.
Okay. Yes.
I forgot the email that you told me to send.
Oh, Joe, your email's on the website.
It is.
Yeah,
Left-hand
Jay,
side, you'll see J.
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay. So you have the minutes of the previous meeting?
Oops.
No one has any comments, questions, or concerns about, I'll make a motion to approve.
Second.
Motion is second, all those in favor?
Aye.
I have a question, it's okay.
Yes.
So Polly is on the Zoom, so regarding the unanimous vote, should we have him on mute?
Yes, he needs to be unmuted and vocalize
So
his
does
vote.
he want to participate, or does he just want to follow?
Looks like he's unmuted. Can we try that again? There we go.
Did you sign?
Polly, do you want to participate?
I hit to sign her name.
I will.
Okay. So we approved the minute meetings from July 13th. Are you okay with everyone approved it?
Let him, yeah, he's got to guess.
Treasurer's report?
Jeff, any comments? Anybody have any changes, concerns, or comments, motion?
Second.
Second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Expense list. rescue funds. Approval to transfer funds to a designated interest-bearing account.
We need to do that.
Yeah, we need to transfer to accounts. Motion to transfer money.
Second.
Have a motion and a second, all those in favor? Aye.
Excuse me. How much did we get?
218,549.31. Discuss spending plan, sample resolution.
Okay, so, board's okay, the department heads will continue to gather data estimates on items that we believe will be eligible to purchase with the rescue money. And we have a good guideline, and I'll create a sheet in the next few days with some points, to help the department heads. But if we're gonna spend any money this year before December, in December, next time we're asking if you get okay with a resolution and saying we're gonna go ahead and appropriate and spend some of this money, then we have to give you all a figure. So we'll give you a list of our recommendations, what it's gonna cost, and then bring you a resolution in the next meeting. Because you have to adjust your budget then.
Can I speak up a little bit? I can barely hear you from here.
And if anybody wants to know the treasurer's report in the back, there's a code that shows you the money that came in. So if you have any questions about it, Jeffrey and I are available to show you where it's on here.
Can you get that off the website?
We can put it on there in one. So okay, we can put the treasurer's report on the website.
Yes, please.
Does it have to be approved for, well, this would be the approved one.
This would be the approved one.
Okay,
If it's posted not approved, it should be marked very clearly as being draft.
Okay.
But once it's approved, it certainly can go on the website.
When she says department, does that mean Park and Rec will be asked to provide a list as well? I know that.
That's a good question.
Anything saying they can't?
Well, Parks is on the list. We have to get more information on what that entails, but yes, Parks is a part of that.
So, yeah, we'll send
So
it.
she'll send us,
Yes.
okay,
Yes.
thank you.
Okay, township complaint form received August 6th for fireworks.
Oh, you want me to? So I've had, crazy fireworks in my neighborhood. I live on Red Hill Road, and they have not stopped. So I pulled up the ordinance, the nuisance ordinance, and the chief was nice enough to print it for me. And section 8 says, no person shall play any radio, phonograph, or musical instrument in an unreasonable manner, or with such volume as to annoy or disturb the quiet comfort or repose of any person in the vicinity.
So I
So
think,
like fireworks aren't even in that.